The increasingly unhinged behavior of throwing objects at people because you don't like them or disagree with them continues. Rep. Matt Gaetz, Republican Florida Rep. Matt Gaetz, was hit by a milkshake, apparently. This story from the Daily Caller. Milkshaking crosses the pond. Matt Gaetz gets doused in Pensacola. Now, the woman was arrested and charged with battery. But we're going to talk a little bit about more than just Matt Gaetz, because yes, milkshaking phenomenon is crossing the pond, and we are seeing many prominent left-wing activists who pretend to be journalists encouraging this behavior. So first, we've got a video, and we've got the story from the Daily Caller. Before we get started, check out timcast.com/donate if you want to support my work. There's a monthly donation option, cryptocurrency address, physical address. But of course, liking and commenting on the video, it's really, really great engagement. And I gotta say, demonetization has been absolutely fascinating for the past month because essentially every single video I've made has been demonetized in the first 24 hours. That's where, it worked. Like, that's when the ad revenue actually comes in, the first day. So it's really fun to wake up and try and talk about important issues and then just not know whether or not you'll be able to earn any revenue. So I greatly appreciate everybody who supports my work. The Daily Caller says, video of the incident surfaced on Twitter Saturday afternoon. Gaetz was walking away from the venue when he clearly reacted to being struck by something. So it's kind of hard to see, and it's a weird video. But you can see Matt Gaetz, something goes flying, and then somehow it lands on his shoulder. I can't quite figure it out. It lands on his forearm or something. And it looks like it's strawberry, I don't know. Jordan Yule tweets, Matt Gaetz got milkshaked in Pensacola. We do have a story, though. The woman has been arrested. Local Pensacola outlet WKRG reported that the alleged culprit was Amanda L. Kondratyev, 25, who was there to protest Gaetz at the event. She was detained at the scene and arrested with no further incident. She has since been charged with battery. This is a really funny thing because we'll open this one in a new tab. People don't seem to understand that milkshaking is a violent crime. I'm not going to act like, it's the worst thing in the world. It's probably the lowest level crime you could do, throwing a drink at somebody. Well, it's not. I mean, threatening somebody is not as bad as actually hitting them with something. But it's a milkshake. It's annoying. Someone might have a dairy allergy and then could potentially die. I really don't think that's the case. It's wrong either way. And Matt Gaetz responded saying, clearly it takes more than a drink to slow down our great team. We are always thankful to the brave law enforcement officials who keep everyone safe at our events. The story, the Daily Caller ends by saying milkshaking, or protesters attacking political opponents with drinks, has been on the rise in recent weeks in the UK. Leading up to the most recent election, it was primarily used against members of the right-wing Brexit Party. So here's the story. Woman arrested after throwing drink at Congressman Matt Gaetz. I wonder, this is in Florida. They say the drink was thrown at Gaetz's back as he was leaving the Brouhaha restaurant. Amanda Lee Kondratyev, 35 apparently, okay, she's 35, was arrested in connection to the incident. Police believe she threw the drink at Gaetz. She's been charged with battery. Back in 2016, Kondratyev ran against Gaetz for the congressional seat along with Chris Joseph and Mark Wichern. Wow! This woman was running against Matt Gaetz and lost, shows up a few years later and throws a drink at him. This is I don't know. It's insane, right? We know it's insane. But let's talk about the desire that these people have for authoritarianism. Look, if you think you have a right to throw something at another person, I'm sorry, that is an authoritarian behavior, that you believe you're above the law, you are above everyone else, and you can do whatever you want, and I love this. Let's talk about, once again, Mr. Carlos Maza of Vox, because I didn't show this tweet. I tweeted this out. It's got 1,600 retweets. For those that aren't familiar, Carlos Maza of Vox is trying to get Steven Crowder banned. He's upset because Crowder refers to him as, certain names that he doesn't like, although Carlos Maza refers to himself in the exact same way. He's claiming it's cyberbullying and harassment. Here's the thing. Carlos Maza tweeted, "Milkshake them all. Humiliate them at every turn. Make them dread public organizing." Really? Really? You think that you're encouraging your followers to physically assault and batter people? Yes, this woman was charged with battery, to step up from assault, because you want to humiliate them. What did Maza then say later? In a story from The Verge, he says it's YouTube's fault because they created a rule and realized that it was too risky for them to enforce it and put me in the spot of publicly showing everyone my humiliation to get YouTube to care. They know better. This is somebody who has never lived in the real world. And this is why people throw milkshakes. They are authoritarians who believe they are above the law. Well, you're not, and this woman has been arrested for it. But think about the hilarious, irony of someone saying I had to show everyone my humiliation while just a week earlier calling on people to physically batter other people to humiliate them. Bravo. But let's talk about the inherent authoritarianism of these people who show up and threaten you. When these journalists publish your private details, like the story I talked about earlier where they doxed the Trump supporter, they're doing it in a way to intimidate you. It is very, very low-level terror, right? What they want to do is increase the cost for you to engage in any kind of behavior to the point where people refuse to do it. We've already seen the New York Times say their reporters can't appear on CNN and MSNBC. Well, that's a result of the escalation. But many of these far lefties want it to happen. How do I know this? I know many of these people. I was at Occupy Wall Street. They talked to me about it. There are people who voted for Trump for what's called the chaos vote. They want to shock the system. This is another thing they're doing. Why did the Daily Beast drag an African-American day laborer into the spotlight and try to ruin his life? Because he made a trivial video about Nancy Pelosi. Glenn Greenwald adds, the only worse part is how you're celebrating yourselves like you did something brave and important, nauseating. Here was my response. What justifies woke white progressives targeting a working class black man? Why his bad opinions, of course. Because these sociopaths have no real ideology. They can talk about privilege all day and night. They don't actually care. What gives these well-off woke white people the right to dox a black working class man? Now, of course, if it's truly newsworthy, I don't care about the identities of either. But it's their ideology they're working against. I thought it was wrong for white people to use white privilege and the patriarchy and all these things to oppress minorities. No, it's only if you have the wrong opinion. They throw all their principles out the window once they found out this guy supported Donald Trump. So here's the thing. Carlos Maza wants you to physically assault them, to humiliate them. However, he can't take it when someone calls him a naughty word. He then demands, this is hilarious, the only difference, this is what he said, the only difference between bullies in middle school and YouTube, he argued, is having a principal or teacher step in and remove the bully from the equation entirely. They realize one side is being the aggressor, that's unacceptable, and they enforce actual penalties on the bully, Maza said. Think about it. Maza wants to physically batter people. He wants to encourage the milkshaking. He then gets mad that someone was mean to him. So he's calling on a teacher or principal-like figure to remove those he doesn't like. Authoritarian. He believes he is better than you. He doesn't have any morals. Don't get me, let's not confuse the issue. If he had morals, he would say it's wrong to humiliate anyone. No, he has personal self-interest, sociopathy, and he is, he's a violent partisan psychopath. I don't use psychopath. I don't use that lightly. Okay, and again, it's not a clinical diagnosis. I'm using it rather in a hyperbolic way to explain this person has no empathy for other human beings. He is simply driven by his own personal desire to empower himself, to virtue signal, to call for harm to others. Here's the thing. Journalists are supposed to minimize harm. He's not a journalist. This guy, Carlos Maza, worked for Media Matters before getting hired at Vox. He's now weaponizing social justice to target a critic, and he's arguably got a bigger platform. Vox has 6 million subscribers. He routinely breaks 1 million views on his videos. He is not some marginalized poor, person. He is an extremely powerful individual working for one of the biggest corporations, encouraging physical violence. So you know what? He wants to get Steven Crowder banned. I wonder, will he be banned from Twitter for encouraging violence? Milkshake them all. Is that an incitement to violence? I would argue it is. But who is he referring to? He's referring to a specific group of people. It's hard to know because he's not saying do this to X person. He's saying go do this in general. Perhaps that is a breach of the law, but I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. What I can say is this is what you end up seeing. This woman, according to local news, ABC, was running against Matt Gaetz. She lost. What did she do? Well, after she became unhinged and lost her mind to the radicalization of these fringe, wacko, leftist, activist media companies, she shows up with a milkshake and is charged with battery. She physically attacked the guy she ran against. To me, that sounds like a psychopathic, authoritarian, sore loser. God forbid these people get power. And I'm not going to act like, there wouldn't be people on the right who would do similar things, but I just don't see it. Okay, what do we see? Trump supporters getting harassed, their hats are flipped off, they're attacked in the street, kicked out of restaurants, they're threatened. There have been a couple stories about Trump supporters getting violent, but where are the regular old conservatives throwing things at people, advocating for violence? I don't see it. All we really have is Carlos Maza demanding Steven Crowder be banned from YouTube because he said mean words. Wow. These people are dangerous and crazy. So anyway, I had to rant on these other issues just because it's mind-boggling to me, how these people can claim to have principles. They don't, right? So, and I'm referencing the woke white progressives who are well off targeting a working class black guy. They don't care about race. They don't care about racism. They're so racist. They don't care about any of this. They don't care about stopping violence. They think speech is violence, but then encourage physical battery against their political opponents. These people are out of their goddamn minds. I'm going to leave it there. I got more segments coming up for you later today. Check out the next video, youtube.com/Timcast every day at 4, and I will see you all next time.